Las Vegas, Sin City, where the lights shine brightly and the gambling never stops. But behind the glitz and the partying, there's a dark side, full of mysteries and disappearances that shock even the most seasoned investigators. Today, you'll learn about 4 true stories of disappearances in Las Vegas that defy explanation. Subscribe for more disappearance videos and leave your opinion in the comments. Case 1. The disappearance of David Parker. David Parker wasn't a gambler. He was a 38-year-old electronics store manager from Portland, Oregon. Quiet, responsible, not exactly the type you'd expect to vanish in the city of sin. His friends described him as a guy who preferred a craft beer and a documentary over tequila and nightclubs. Oh, when he told his co-workers he was flying out to Vegas for a solo 3-day getaway, no one thought twice. They joked that he'd come back married or broke. But David never came back at all. On the afternoon of September 18, 2019, David checked into the Luxor Hotel and Casino, one of the Strip's most iconic buildings, shaped like a black glass pyramid. He dropped off his bags in room 12407, and a few hours later, security footage showed him walking into the casino floor alone. He wasn't acting strangely. He smiled at dealers, watched a few rounds of blackjack, even sat down at a table around 9:40 p.m. He played casually, drank a cocktail, and interacted with the staff. Everything about him looked normal, relaxed, happy. At 11:11 p.m., David pushed back from the table, slipped his chips into his jacket pocket, and walked toward the elevators. He waved goodbye to the dealer as he stepped inside. That was the last time anyone saw him. The elevator went up to the 12th floor. That much is clear from the system log. But what happened next is the start of a chilling mystery. David never exited the elevator on camera. No footage of him in the hallway. No sign of him at his room. Nothing. Security footage of the 12th floor corridor shows zero activity between 11:11 and 11:30 p.m. No doors opening. No movement. It was as if David vanished somewhere between the elevator and thin air. The next morning, hotel staff entered his room after he failed to check out. Everything was untouched. Suitcase still packed, wallet and passport on the dresser, phone plugged into the charger. No signs of a struggle, no note, no blood. It was as if he'd just stepped out. Las Vegas Metro Police opened an investigation within 24 hours. They interviewed staff, reviewed hours of security footage, and scoured the property. But there was no trace of David. That's when things took a darker turn. About 5 days later, a hotel employee reported something odd. A call was made to David's room at 11:32 p.m., the night he vanished. The call came from another room, room 9-18 on the 9th floor. That room was registered to a woman named Celeste Rowe, an escort from Los Angeles with a history of short hotel stays in Vegas. When detectives went to follow up, they found she had checked out that same night, shortly after the call. Celeste was never located again. Her phone number was deactivated. Her identity seemed to disappear just like David's. Investigators found no connection between them. No texts, no social media overlap, no shared contacts. Yet the call was made, from her room to his, just minutes after he was last seen. Was it a coincidence? A setup? Online forums and true crime communities speculated furiously. One theory stood out: human trafficking. Las Vegas has long been cited as a hub for trafficking networks, and hotel disappearances are not as rare as you might think. Victims are often isolated, traveling alone, and quickly replaced without a trace. Another theory suggested something more calculated, that David may have witnessed something he wasn't supposed to. Illegal gambling rings, organized crime, or even hotel-related cover-ups. But the most haunting theory, that he was targeted, Celeste's call, the precise timing, the lack of evidence, it all pointed to something premeditated. Still, some questioned whether David might have disappeared on purpose. But there was no financial activity after that night. No ATM withdrawals, no plane tickets, no digital trace of any kind. His social media remained silent, his phone inactive. To his family, that theory is impossible. David was excited about this trip, said his mother, Judith Parker, in an interview. He had no reason to run. He had a life, a job. He just wanted a break. Something happened to him. Judith offered a $50,000 reward for information. She still updates the Find David Parker page each year on the anniversary of his disappearance. It's been over 5 years. No new leads, no confirmed sightings, no answers. A man went up an elevator in one of the most surveilled cities in the world and was never seen again. Case 2, The Mystery of Amy Green. Amy Green was 28 years old when she arrived in Las Vegas for what was supposed to be a 4-night escape. A freelance graphic designer from Sacramento, she was bright, outspoken, and deeply private. According to her roommate, she had always been obsessed with card games, especially blackjack, and she'd made multiple weekend trips to Vegas over the past 2 years. But what no one knew, until it was too late, was that Amy had accumulated more than just travel points. She had racked up thousands of dollars in gambling debt. Amy checked into the Flamingo Las Vegas Hotel and Casino on the evening of March 4, 2021. Surveillance shows her wheeling a small suitcase through the lobby, dressed in jeans and a pink hoodie. At first, everything seemed routine. She called her mother that night, saying she was planning to relax and clear her head. But on the third night, something changed. Around 9:20 p.m. on March 6th, Amy was seen on security footage at a blackjack table near the back of the casino. She looked anxious, tapping her fingers, glancing over her shoulder repeatedly. A casino dealer, who later spoke to investigators, described her as distracted and visibly on edge. She asked if anyone had been looking for her, he said. Then she asked if the casino had private security following players. Amy played 3 quick hands, lost 2 of them, and then abruptly left the table. That was the last confirmed sighting. When housekeeping entered her room, 2 days later after no checkout, her belongings were untouched. Her suitcase was still zipped and sitting by the door, clothes hung in the closet. Her wallet, cell phone, and ID were all neatly placed on the nightstand. Nothing was missing, except Amy. Police were called, and an official missing persons report was filed. But early suspicion was weak. After all, adults go missing voluntarily all the time, and Las Vegas is a city of quick disappearances. But Amy's family insisted this wasn't like her. She wouldn't leave without her phone. Her sister Jessica later told reporters she wouldn't just walk away from everything. The investigation soon uncovered a troubling financial trail. Amy had been taking cash advances from multiple credit cards over the past year. Over $17,000 in debt was linked to various casinos along the Strip. According to a source close to the investigation, Amy had recently received threatening messages from someone identifying themselves only as Dante. The messages found in her deleted inbox included phrases like, "You know the rules, you don't pay, you disappear. Don't make us come find you." Police traced the number to a prepaid burner phone registered out of state, untraceable. One theory quickly emerged. Amy had fallen victim to an underground gambling ring, possibly operating inside or around the casino. These rings reportedly offer high-stakes credit to desperate gamblers. No paper trail, no mercy if you lose. A former dealer who asked not to be identified claimed that he had once seen Amy in the company of a man known only as Rico, a suspected enforcer tied to illegal betting operations. That lead, however, went nowhere. Rico hasn't been seen since early 2020. Another disturbing clue came from a surveillance glitch. At 9:46 p.m., just 5 minutes after Amy left the blackjack table, a camera in the south exit corridor cut out for 14 minutes. When it came back online, there was no sign of her. Had she been led out that way? Was it a planned abduction? Or did she leave voluntarily, under duress? More confusion arose when police discovered 2 room key cards had been used during her stay, one on the first night and another on the third. The second key was never recovered. There were no signs of struggle, no calls for help, no security alerts, just a vanishing act in one of the most heavily surveilled cities in America. Amy's mother has since launched a campaign called Ye Finder Me Green, and her case remains open. Flyers are still seen around downtown Vegas, especially in local card rooms and off-the-strip venues. "I just want to know what happened," her mother said at a vigil. "If someone knows something, please speak." Amy Green's disappearance has become one of Vegas's modern mysteries, a stark reminder that beneath the glamour and glitter, the city hides shadows. And sometimes, those shadows take people with them. Case 3, the abduction of Jack Moore. Jack was 41 years old, well known on the underground poker scene for his sharp mind and aggressive playing style. Though he'd stepped back from the pro circuit in 2016, he returned to Vegas in November of 2021 for a weekend poker tournament at the Golden Nugget, supposedly just for fun. He told friends it was one last ride, but that final game would lead him straight into the unknown. On the night of November 13th, Jack entered the semifinal round of a private high-stakes tournament. According to eyewitnesses, he was calm, confident, and fully in control. Hours later, he walked away with over $65,000 in winnings. Surveillance footage shows Jack exiting the poker room around 1:17 a.m., stuffing cash into his backpack and exchanging brief handshakes with 2 other players. He looked happy, relieved even, but that mood wouldn't last long. What no one noticed at the time was that 2 unidentified men followed Jack through the casino and into the valet area. Though no confrontation was recorded, one camera shows Jack glancing over his shoulder repeatedly. Later that night, Jack texted a friend from Los Angeles, "Think I'm being followed, leaving early, call you TMRW." But Jack never made it back to his hotel. He had booked a room at the Plaza Hotel and Casino, just a 10-minute walk from the tournament site. Yet he never checked in. Security cameras in the lobby confirmed he never entered the building. His car, parked in the tournament's underground garage, was still there the next morning, untouched. His phone last pinged at 3:02 a.m. in an alleyway behind a shuttered nightclub 2 blocks from the Strip. Then it went dead. The police investigation began with urgency. Jack's history as a former high-stakes player meant there were enemies, debts, and suspicions. Investigators quickly learned that the tournament he'd entered wasn't entirely legitimate. Although it was hosted inside a well-known casino, the event was run privately, outside the official tournament circuit. No oversight, no documentation of who exactly was playing. Even the list of entrants was incomplete. One name that kept coming up was Luis El Lobo Martinez, a known associate of a Mexican gambling syndicate involved in illegal sports betting and money laundering across Nevada and California. Sources later confirmed that El Lobo was at the same table as Jack during the final round. Could Jack have unknowingly crossed a line? Was he being watched long before the tournament began? Those games, they're not just for bragging rights. You win too much, too fast, and they'll take it personally, especially if they think you're counting cards or cheating their system. The theory that gained the most traction was abduction linked to illegal gambling debts or revenge. Jack's friends confirmed he had no active debts at the time, but some suspected he might have been investigating underground games for a podcast he was quietly developing about poker fraud. Investigators were unable to confirm this, but Jack's laptop, later recovered from his apartment, contained encrypted files labeled House Secrets, MGM Ghosts, and Rico 2018. None of the files could be accessed, but their titles suggested he might have been compiling evidence or exposing something. The lack of hard evidence left investigators stuck. There were no ransom demands, no signs of violence, no witnesses from the alley, no suspects identified. Even the two men who had followed Jack on camera were never located. His backpack, containing the $65,000 in cash, was also never found. What remained was a chilling silence. He didn't just vanish. Someone made him disappear. He was smart, careful. He wouldn't have walked into danger unless he thought he was uncovering something. A year later, Jack's case remains open, but cold. Flyers with his face can still be seen tacked to corkboards in dive bars and poker lounges across Las Vegas. The message beneath his photo is simple. Have you seen Jack? Jack Moore's disappearance is more than a mystery. It's a warning. Behind the glamour of high-stakes gambling, behind the neon lights and the rush of adrenaline, lies a darker game. One with no rules, no second chances, and sometimes no way out. Case 4. The Mystery of Kyle Thompson. Kyle Thompson was 27 years old. A graphic designer from Portland, Oregon, he came to Las Vegas in May 2022 for a 4-day solo vacation. His first real break since the pandemic. His social media showed the usual tourist snapshots: rooftop cocktails, casino floors, day trips to the desert. But behind those smiles was a mystery that still haunts investigators, family members, and internet sleuths alike. Because on the evening of May 18th, Kyle vanished. No note, no goodbye, no trace. Just a blurry clip from a security camera and a phone call that led nowhere. That night, Kyle had dinner at a popular taco bar on Fremont, then posted a story on Instagram. Viva Vegas, one more stop before calling it. 20 minutes later, Kyle entered the Majestic Star Hotel, a lesser-known boutique property about 15 minutes off the Strip. Reviews described it as quiet, offbeat, and frequented by locals. It wasn't a place tourists usually found themselves in. Security cameras show Kyle walking into the lobby around 11:45 p.m. He's looking down at his phone, seemingly texting. What's eerie is that no footage ever shows him leaving. The system glitched. For 3 hours that night, the hotel's security network went dark due to what the staff called a brief technical issue. When it came back online at 3 a.m., there was no sign of Kyle. Kyle had no enemies. He had a stable job, a loving family, and no criminal record. His hotel room, booked at the Luxor, was untouched. His luggage, passport, and wallet were all found there. His phone, however, was not. Phone records show that Kyle made a single outgoing call at 12:07 a.m., just after the cameras had cut out, to a number later traced to a burner phone, now deactivated. Authorities were unable to determine who owned it or where it was purchased. The last ping from Kyle's device placed him inside the Majestic Star's east wing, near the service elevators. After that, the signal vanished completely. Theories began to emerge. One theory suggested Kyle had stumbled into a part of Vegas never meant for outsiders. Underground poker rings, unlicensed escort services, or worse, ties to human trafficking networks rumored to operate just beneath the surface of the city's glitz. A Reddit user, claiming to be a former employee at the Majestic Star, wrote, "There are floors you don't see on the elevator, rooms you're told not to go near. One time, I saw a man escorted out by 3 guys in black suits, no police, no noise, just gone." No evidence supports this claim, but it added fuel to a fire that wouldn't die. Other theories suggested that Kyle may have been lured there, possibly by someone posing online as a fellow traveler or date. His friends confirmed he'd recently been using dating apps and exchanging messages with someone listed only as M. Those chats, however, were wiped from his device before it disappeared. 2 weeks later, Kyle's phone case, without the phone, was found in a storm drain nearly 2 miles away, near an abandoned industrial complex. The area had no security cameras, no fingerprints, no answers. Despite extensive efforts by local police, private investigators, and online communities, Kyle Thompson has never been found. No ransom was demanded, no body was recovered, no suspects were ever questioned. The Majestic Star Hotel declined further interviews after initial media coverage and has since rebranded under a new name. His family continues to search for answers, organizing search parties, press conferences, and maintaining a digital memorial page that gathers more than 10,000 visits a month. Interview: Kyle's mother, holding a framed photo of him. Vegas was supposed to be a memory, not a nightmare. He walked into that hotel, and we've been waiting ever since for him to walk back out. Kyle's case raises disturbing questions about what might lurk beyond the glowing lights and crowded casinos of Las Vegas. For a city that never sleeps, it's easy to forget how easily someone can disappear in the shadows.